The mountains of northeast India hold secrets that would make even the most seasoned travelers pause mid-sip of their chai. Hidden beyond the chaos of mainstream India lies Nagaland, a place where your grandfather's worst nightmares about savage tribals have transformed into the most heartwarming hospitality you'll ever experience. This is where former headhunters now brew world-class coffee, where warriors' descendants run cozy homestays, and where a measly $500 can unlock experiences that luxury resorts can't even dream of offering. But here's what nobody tells you about Nagaland. It's not just another exotic tribal destination to check off your wanderlust list. This is India's most misunderstood state, where 16 different tribes have spent generations perfecting the art of survival, celebration, and yes, occasionally taking heads. Though don't worry, the last recorded headhunting incident was decades ago, and these days the only thing getting smoked around here is pork. So buckle up for a journey through a land where every meal could be your last, thanks to ghost peppers that'll make you question life choices, where village councils still make decisions that put modern governments to shame, and where the word budget travel takes on a whole new meaning. We're about to spend 2 weeks in Nagaland with exactly $500, and spoiler alert, we'll probably have money left over for souvenirs. The first thing you notice about Nagaland is not the stunning landscapes or the colorful traditional dress. It's the fact that you need special permission just to enter. Welcome to one of the few places on Earth where you can't just show up with a backpack and a smile. The inner line permit system means the Indian government is literally gatekeeping paradise. And honestly, after spending time here, you'll understand why. Nagaland sits wedged between Myanmar and the rest of India like that friend who's too cool for the party but shows up anyway. At 16,579 square kilometers, it's smaller than most U.S. states, yet it packs more cultural diversity per square mile than anywhere else you'll ever visit. The terrain reads like someone got drunk with a geography textbook. Rolling hills cascade into deep valleys, dense forests hide ancient secrets. And Mount Saramati towers at 3,826 meters like a giant middle finger to anyone who thinks the Northeast is all rice paddies and monsoons. But the real magic isn't in the altitude, it's in the altitude of the people as spirits. Nagaland is home to 16 officially recognized tribes, and yes, before you ask, they actually get along. The Konyaks, Angamis, Ayos, Sumis, Lothas, and 11 others have somehow figured out what the rest of the world can't: how to maintain distinct identities while sharing the same neighborhood. Each tribe speaks its own dialect, follows its own customs, and yet they all come together every December for the Hornbill Festival like one massive, perfectly orchestrated family reunion. The Angamis are the agricultural wizards, famous for creating terraced rice fields that would make Balinese farmers weep with envy. The Konyaks living up near the Myanmar border are the ones with the most colorful history. They were the last to give up headhunting, and their elderly men still sport traditional face tattoos that tell stories modern Instagram influencers couldn't even imagine. The Ayos are known for their exceptional organizational skills and were among the first to embrace Christianity, while the Sumis are renowned for their intricate wood carvings and architectural prowess. Here's where it gets interesting. Until the 1960s, some of these tribes were still practicing headhunting. Not as a bloodthirsty sport, mind you, but as a complex social and spiritual ritual tied to concepts of honor, protection, and prosperity. The more heads a warrior collected, the higher his social status and the better his chances of a good marriage. These weren't random acts of violence. They were highly regulated community practices with rules more complex than modern tax codes. The British colonial administration spent decades trying to stop headhunting, with mixed success. It wasn't until Christian missionaries arrived and offered alternative paths to social prestige that the practice gradually faded. Today, the only heads rolling in Nagaland are from laughter at tourist attempts to handle ghost peppers. Christianity arrived in Nagaland like a cultural tsunami, but instead of washing away tribal traditions, it somehow managed to blend with them in ways that would confuse theologians worldwide. Over 90% of Nagaland's population identifies as Christian, making it India's most Christian state by percentage. Baptist churches dot every village, yet traditional festivals continue with Christian prayers mixed into ancient rituals. It's religious fusion at its finest, where Sunday service might be followed by traditional warrior dance. The transition from warrior culture to modern Christian society created something unique. A people who maintained their fierce independence and tribal pride while embracing education and progressive values. Nagaland boasts one of India's highest literacy rates at over 80%, a direct result of missionary schools that prioritized education for both boys and girls. This educational foundation explains why you'll meet village youth who can discuss global politics in perfect English while simultaneously explaining the intricate meaning behind their grandfather's face tattoos. Now, let's talk about what nobody prepares you for: the daily rhythm of life that moves to a completely different beat than the rest of India. In Kohima, the state capital, you'll find a bizarre mix of modern cafes serving Italian espresso alongside street vendors selling fermented fish that smells like a chemistry experiment gone wrong. The city sits at 1,500 meters above sea level, which means you'll be catching your breath not just from the altitude, but from the stunning views that pop up around every corner. Mornings in Kohima start early, not because people are particularly ambitious, but because the weather is actually pleasant before the sun decides to remind everyone who's boss. The local market comes alive by 6 a.m., with Naga women in traditional shawls selling everything from organic vegetables that would cost a fortune in Delhi to bamboo shoots that look like alien artifacts. These markets operate on a fascinating system where prices are fixed by mutual agreement. No haggling, no drama, just honest trade that makes you question everything you know about commerce. The architecture tells the story of a culture in transition. Traditional bamboo houses with sloping roofs sit next to concrete structures that look like they were designed by someone who learned architecture from a government manual. But even the modern buildings incorporate traditional elements: thatched roofing, wooden panels with tribal motifs, and that distinctive Naga sense of proportion that makes everything feel somehow right. Village life operates on rhythms that would mystify urban dwellers. The village council, known as the Village Development Board, makes decisions through consensus rather than voting, a process that can take hours but ensures everyone's voice is heard. Land ownership follows traditional patterns where community land belongs to the tribe, and individual families have usage rights passed down through generations. It's collective ownership that actually works, probably because it's been tested over centuries rather than copied from a political science textbook. Daily meals are community affairs, especially during festivals and important occasions. Extended families gather to share food, stories, and decisions about everything from crop rotations to marriage proposals. The concept of nuclear family exists but is secondary to the broader tribal identity. Children grow up with dozens of aunts and uncles, creating support networks that modern urban families desperately try to recreate through social media. But here's what really sets Nagaland apart. The women run the show, but quietly. While traditional Naga society is technically patriarchal, women control most aspects of daily life, from market trading to educational decisions for children. They can't inherit land or hold certain traditional titles, but they wield enormous influence through women's associations that function as parallel governance structures. It's a system that manages to be both traditional and surprisingly progressive, frustrating feminist theorists who can't quite categorize it. Farming remains the backbone of rural life, but it's farming with a twist. Naga agricultural practices include jhum cultivation, slash and burn farming, that's been refined over generations to maintain soil fertility while supporting diverse crops. They grow everything from rice and millet to vegetables you've never heard of, plus cash crops like ginger and turmeric that end up in expensive organic stores worldwide. The irony? These primitive farming methods are now being studied by agricultural universities as models for sustainable farming. And then there's the food. Oh, the food. Forget everything you think you know about Indian cuisine because Naga food exists in its own universe of flavors, most of which involve levels of spice that could strip paint. The ghost pepper, or butt jolokia, isn't just an ingredient here. It's a way of life. Locals add it to everything with the casual confidence of someone salting their eggs, while visitors spend the next 3 days questioning their life choices. Axone, fermented soybeans that smell like feet but taste like heaven, forms the base of countless dishes. The fermentation process takes weeks and involves techniques passed down through generations of Naga grandmothers who guard their recipes like state secrets. When cooked with smoked pork and bamboo shoots, Axone creates flavors so complex that food critics struggle to find adequate descriptions. It's umami turned up to 11, with a side of, what exactly am I eating and why do I want more? Smoked pork is practically a religious experience in Nagaland. The smoking process uses specific woods and techniques that create flavors impossible to replicate elsewhere. Families have smoking traditions going back generations, with specific methods for different cuts of meat. The result is pork that's simultaneously tender and intensely flavored, often served with fermented bamboo shoots that add sourness and fermented fish sauce that adds, well, more complexity than most palates can handle. Rice beer, or zutho, deserves its own category. Every tribe has its own brewing techniques, and the alcohol content varies from social lubricant to industrial solvent. The brewing process uses local rice varieties and natural fermentation starters that create flavors ranging from sweet and mild to strong enough to power small vehicles. Village celebrations involve communal rice beer drinking from bamboo cups, and refusing a drink is considered deeply insulting. Fair warning: pace yourself, or you'll be having conversations with village chickens about the meaning of life. But the real revelation is how food connects to identity. Each tribe has signature dishes that reflect their history, geography, and values. The Angamas are famous for their sophisticated use of local herbs and vegetables. The Konyaks incorporate ingredients from their borderland location, blending Naga traditions with influences from neighboring Myanmar. Food isn't just sustenance. It's storytelling, cultural preservation, and social bonding all mixed into one incredibly spicy package. Tea culture exists alongside coffee culture in ways that would confuse Starbucks executives. Traditional tea involves simple preparation with local leaves, often consumed during long community discussions. But coffee culture is booming, especially among younger generations who've opened cafes that wouldn't look out of place in Seattle. These establishments serve locally grown coffee that's beginning to gain recognition in international markets, proving that Nagaland's agricultural diversity extends far beyond ghost peppers. The social aspect of food extends to festivals, where entire communities come together to prepare massive meals. During Hornbill Festival, each tribe sets up food stalls that become informal cultural exchange centers. Visitors can sample authentic tribal cuisines while locals explain cooking techniques, ingredients, and cultural significance. It's food tourism at its most genuine. No fusion confusion or Western adaptations, just traditional recipes prepared by people whose grandmothers invented them. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: relationships and dating in a society that's simultaneously traditional and rapidly modernizing. Naga society offers a fascinating case study in how ancient customs adapt to contemporary realities, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. Traditionally, most Naga tribes practiced arranged marriages, but with a twist that would surprise Western assumptions. Young people had considerable input into marriage decisions, and the arrangement process often resembled modern matchmaking more than forced unions. Families would identify suitable matches, but the final decision usually rested with the couple themselves. It was arranged dating with traditional backup support. The role of women in traditional Naga society defies simple categorization. While they couldn't inherit clan land or hold certain ceremonial positions, women wielded considerable influence through market control, agricultural decisions, and child-rearing practices. Naga women were traders, entrepreneurs, and cultural preservers long before feminism became a global movement. They managed household finances, controlled food distribution, and often made final decisions about family migrations or major purchases. Modern dating culture in Nagaland represents a fascinating blend of traditional values with contemporary practices. Young people meet through education, work, and social events, much like anywhere else, but family approval remains crucial, and relationships develop within community frameworks that provide both support and scrutiny. It's dating with a safety net, and occasional unwanted commentary from every auntie in the village. Christianity added another layer of complexity to relationships. Christian values emphasizing monogamy, commitment, and family stability aligned with many traditional Naga values. But the religion also introduced new concepts about gender roles and marriage expectations. The result is a society where couples might meet at church youth groups but still follow traditional courtship protocols involving family meetings and community approval. Women's roles have evolved significantly over the past generation. Education opportunities expanded dramatically, leading to professional careers that were unimaginable for previous generations. Today, you'll find Naga women working as teachers, government officials, entrepreneurs, and healthcare professionals. Yet many also maintain traditional skills like weaving, cooking, and agricultural practices, creating a generation that's comfortable in both worlds. The dating scene varies dramatically between urban centers like Kohima and Dimapur versus rural villages. In cities, young professionals meet through work, social events, and increasingly through social media and dating apps. Coffee shops and restaurants provide neutral spaces for couples to spend time together. But even urban relationships typically involve family meetings and traditional approval process before serious commitments. Rural dating maintains stronger traditional elements. Village social structures mean everyone knows everyone else's business, which creates both accountability and pressure. Young people might meet during festivals, community work projects, or through family connections. Courtship often involves group activities and community events where couples can spend time together within acceptable social frameworks. Marriage ceremonies blend Christian and traditional elements in ways that create uniquely Naga celebrations. A typical wedding might include a church ceremony followed by traditional tribal rituals, community feasts featuring local cuisines, and gift exchanges that strengthen inter-family relationships. The bride might wear both white Western-style dresses and traditional tribal clothing during different parts of the ceremony. But here's what makes Naga relationship culture particularly interesting: the emphasis on partnership and mutual respect that pervades both traditional and modern approaches. Traditional Naga marriages were economic and social partnerships where both parties brought specific skills and responsibilities to the union. This practical approach to relationships created strong foundations for marriages that needed to survive in challenging mountain environments with limited resources. Modern relationships maintain this practical element while incorporating romantic ideals introduced through education, media, and cultural exchange. Young couples discuss career goals, family planning, and lifestyle preferences with a directness that might surprise people from cultures where such topics are considered taboo. It's romance with realistic expectations. Love that's built to last through monsoons and harvest failures. The influence of education on relationships cannot be overstated. As educational opportunities expanded, particularly for women, marriage ages increased and relationship dynamics shifted. Educated women have more choices about partners, careers, and family planning. This has created a generation where women expect partnership rather than traditional submissive roles, leading to relationships that function more as collaborative enterprises. Social media has introduced new dynamics to Naga relationships. Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram allow young people to maintain connections across tribal and geographical boundaries. Long-distance relationships become more feasible when couples can communicate daily through technology. But social media also creates new pressures, as relationships become more public and subject to community scrutiny through digital platforms. Inter-tribal marriages, once rare, are becoming more common as education and employment create opportunities for people from different tribes to meet and work together. These relationships face unique challenges around cultural practices, language differences, and family expectations. But they also represent the evolution of Naga society toward greater integration while maintaining tribal identities. The festival calendar provides the rhythm for social interactions, and no celebration captures Nagaland's spirit better than the Hornbill Festival. Imagine if Coachella, the Olympics, and a family reunion had a baby in the mountains of Northeast India. That's Hornbill Festival. Every December, representatives from all 16 major tribes gather in Kasama Heritage Village to showcase their cultures through dance, music, food, and traditional games. It's called the Festival of Festivals, and after experiencing it, you'll understand why superlatives feel inadequate. The festival grounds transform into a living museum, where each tribe maintains traditional huts and demonstrates cultural practices that might otherwise be lost to modernization. But this isn't a sterile cultural display. It's a working celebration where tribal elders teach traditional skills to younger generations, while visitors from around the world watch in fascination. You might see a Konyak grandmother showing her granddaughter traditional weaving techniques, while a group of German tourists takes notes and a Delhi photographer captures the moment for National Geographic. Traditional dances tell stories that predate written history. The Konyak War Dance, performed by men wearing traditional warrior regalia including hornbill feather headdresses, and Dao, traditional swords, recreates battles and hunting expeditions with choreography so precise it rivals professional ballet companies. The Angami Harvest Dance celebrates agricultural abundance with movements that mirror planting, growing, and harvesting cycles. Each dance carries cultural DNA, movements, rhythms, and costumes that encode generations of tribal memory. Music provides the soundtrack to cultural preservation. Traditional instruments include log drums that can be heard across valleys, bamboo flutes that mimic bird calls, and stringed instruments created from local materials. But Nagaland has also embraced contemporary music with enthusiasm that borders on obsession. The state produces more rock bands per capita than probably anywhere else in India, and these musicians blend traditional Naga melodies with contemporary genres to create sounds that are both ancient and cutting-edge. Hornbill Festival food stalls offer culinary adventures that food bloggers dream about. Each tribe prepares signature dishes using traditional methods and ingredients. You can sample Ao rice beer alongside Lotha smoked fish, try Sumi bamboo shoot curry with Angami organic vegetables, and test your spice tolerance with authentic ghost pepper preparations. It's a food festival disguised as a cultural celebration, or maybe the other way around. Traditional games and sports at Hornbill provide entertainment that makes modern obstacle courses look tame. Naga wrestling involves techniques developed for actual combat, with competitors using skills that once determined survival. Archery competitions use traditional bows and arrows with accuracy that would impress Olympic athletes. Spear throwing, traditional racing, and tug-of-war events showcase physical capabilities developed through mountain living and agricultural work. But Hornbill Festival also serves serious cultural preservation purposes. Tribal languages are demonstrated through storytelling sessions, traditional crafts are taught through hands-on workshops, and oral histories are shared through elder consultations. It's education disguised as entertainment, ensuring that cultural knowledge transfers to younger generations who might otherwise lose connection to tribal traditions. The festival creates economic opportunities for local communities through tourism, handicraft sales, and food service. Villages that host visitors during Hornbill season generate income that supports families throughout the year. Traditional weavers, carvers, and craftspeople find markets for products that might otherwise have limited commercial appeal. It's cultural preservation that pays its own way. Music beyond the festival deserves special attention because Nagaland has produced a disproportionate number of musicians who've gained national and international recognition. The state's music scene blends traditional tribal influences with rock, blues, gospel, and contemporary genres. Local recording studios produce albums that showcase Naga talent to global audiences, and music festivals throughout the year provide platforms for both traditional and contemporary artists. The influence of Christianity on music created gospel traditions that rival anything produced in the American South. Naga church choirs perform with harmonies and spiritual intensity that move audiences regardless of religious affiliation. These musical traditions have influenced contemporary Naga artists who incorporate gospel elements into rock and pop compositions. Traditional instruments continue to evolve as craftspeople experiment with materials and techniques while maintaining essential cultural elements. Modern Naga musicians use traditional log drums in rock compositions, incorporate bamboo flute melodies into contemporary songs, and create fusion music that respects tribal origins while exploring new artistic territories. The festival calendar extends far beyond Hornbill, with each tribe celebrating distinct festivals throughout the year. The Eo celebrate Moatsu in May with traditional games and community feasts. The Angami hold Sekrenyi in February, a purification festival involving traditional rituals and cultural competitions. The Lotha celebrate Toku Emong in November, marking the end of harvest season with Thanksgiving ceremonies and cultural programs. Each festival offers unique insights into specific tribal traditions while contributing to Nagaland's overall cultural richness. Now, let's talk money. Specifically, how $500 can unlock experiences in Nagaland that would cost thousands anywhere else. Budget travel in Nagaland isn't about cutting corners. It's about accessing authentic experiences that luxury resorts can't replicate because they're embedded in community structures that don't scale to commercial operations. Accommodation costs will shock you, but in a good way. Government circuit houses, originally built for traveling officials, now accept tourists at rates around $8 to $12 per night. These facilities offer clean rooms, basic amenities, and locations that place you in the heart of local communities. They're not fancy, but they're comfortable and provide authentic interaction opportunities with local staff and other travelers. Homestays represent the sweet spot of Nagaland accommodation, typically costing $15–25 per night, including meals. Naga families open their homes to visitors, providing private rooms, home-cooked meals, and cultural immersion that hotels can't match. Your hosts become guides, translators, and cultural interpreters. They'll teach you to eat with your hands properly, explain local customs, and probably invite you to family celebrations that happen to coincide with your visit. Budget hotels in Kohima and Dimapur range from $12 to $30 per night for clean, comfortable rooms with private bathrooms. These establishments cater to domestic tourists and business travelers, providing reliable accommodation without luxury pretensions. Many include breakfast featuring local specialties that introduce visitors to Naga flavors gradually, which is probably wise given the ghost pepper situation. Food costs are almost embarrassingly low by international standards. Street food meals cost $1 to $3 and provide authentic local flavors in portions that could feed small families. Restaurant meals in local establishments range from $3 to $8 for complete dinners including multiple dishes, rice, and local beverages. Even upscale restaurants in Kohima charge $10–15 for elaborate meals featuring multiple courses and local specialties. Transportation expenses depend largely on your tolerance for adventure. Shared taxis between major destinations cost $8 to $15 for journeys that private vehicles would charge $50–80 to complete. These shared rides provide cultural immersion as you travel with locals going about their daily business, but they also involve departure schedules that operate on when the taxi fills up, rather than posted timetables. Local transportation within cities costs almost nothing. Auto rickshaws charge $1 to $2 for most urban journeys. Local buses cost less than $1 for intercity travel, though comfort levels vary dramatically. Walking remains the best option for exploring local areas, especially in smaller towns where distances are manageable and pedestrian traffic is welcomed by local businesses. Festival and attraction costs are minimal compared to tourist destinations elsewhere. Hornbill Festival entry fees are around $3–5 per day, which includes access to all cultural performances, food stalls, and traditional demonstrations. Museum entries cost $1 to $2. Traditional village visits often involve no formal fees, though bringing small gifts or purchasing local handicrafts is considered appropriate and appreciated. Shopping for local products offers exceptional value for handmade goods that would cost significantly more in urban markets elsewhere. Traditional Naga shawls, hand-woven with tribal patterns, cost $20 to $40 depending on complexity and materials. Wood carvings, bamboo crafts, and traditional jewelry are priced for local markets rather than tourist exploitation, meaning authentic cultural artifacts are accessible at reasonable prices. The $500 budget breakdown for 2 weeks looks something like this. Accommodation averages $18 per night, $252 total. Meals average $8 per day, $112 total. Local transportation averages $5 per day, $70 total. Attraction fees and activities total around $40, and shopping cog miscellaneous expenses around $26. That leaves a comfortable buffer for unexpected opportunities or emergency expenses. But here's the real value proposition. What you experience for $500 in Nagaland would cost thousands in commercialized tourist destinations. You're not just seeing cultural performances. You're participating in community life. You're not just eating local food. You're learning cooking techniques from families who've perfected recipes over generations. You're not just visiting attractions. You're accessing cultural knowledge that can't be Googled or purchased elsewhere. The economic impact of your spending also feels more direct and meaningful. Money spent on homestays goes directly to families who use income to support education, healthcare, and community development. Purchasing handicrafts supports traditional craftspeople who maintain cultural skills while earning sustainable livings. Even transportation costs support local drivers who know every mountain road and can provide impromptu cultural commentary during journeys. Seasonal pricing variations are minimal compared to major tourist destinations. Peak season during Hornbill Festival might increase accommodation costs by 20 to 30%, but even inflated prices remain remarkably affordable. Off-season travel offers the same cultural experiences with fewer crowds and even lower costs, plus opportunities for more intimate interactions with local communities. Hidden costs are refreshingly few. Unlike tourist destinations where everything carries premium pricing for foreigners, Nagaland operates on local pricing structures for most goods and services. Tipping is appreciated but not expected at Western levels. Entry fees to cultural sites are standardized and reasonable. The biggest unexpected expense is likely shipping costs if you fall in love with traditional handicrafts and want to send purchases home. The value extends beyond monetary considerations to time efficiency. Nagaland's compact size means you can experience multiple tribal cultures, diverse landscapes, and various cultural sites without spending hours traveling between regions. 2 weeks provides sufficient time to attend festivals, visit traditional villages, explore urban centers, and participate in community activities without feeling rushed. Transportation in Nagaland operates on principles that would confuse efficiency experts but somehow work perfectly for the local context. The state's road network resembles something designed by mountain goats with engineering degrees. Winding, steep, and occasionally terrifying, but ultimately functional for terrain that would challenge Swiss road builders. The primary highway connecting Dimapur, the commercial center, to Kohima, the capital, is a 74-kilometer journey that takes 3 to 4 hours on a good day. This isn't due to traffic jams or poor road conditions, but because the road climbs from sea level to 8,500 meters through mountain terrain where straight lines are geographical impossibilities. The route offers spectacular scenery that makes the travel time feel like a scenic tour rather than necessary transportation. Shared taxis represent the backbone of public transportation, operating on filling up and leaving schedules that test Western concepts of punctuality. A shared taxi might seat 8 to 10 passengers in a vehicle designed for 6, but somehow everyone fits comfortably thanks to Naga hospitality and practical approaches to space utilization. These journeys become social events where passengers share food, exchange news, and provide informal cultural education to visitors willing to engage in conversation. The taxi drivers deserve special recognition as unofficial ambassadors, local historians, and impromptu tour guides. They know every road, shortcut, and scenic viewpoint in their territory. Many speak multiple tribal languages plus English, serving as translators and cultural interpreters during journeys. They'll stop at roadside stalls selling local specialties, point out traditional villages visible from the highway, and explain the cultural significance of landmarks that tourists might otherwise miss. Local buses serve smaller communities and provide budget transportation for longer distances. These vehicles operate on schedules that account for weather, road conditions, and passenger needs rather than rigid timetables. A bus journey might include stops to pick up produce from rural farmers, deliver mail to remote villages, or wait for elderly passengers who need extra time. It's public transportation with a community service component. Private vehicle rental is possible but not recommended for inexperienced mountain drivers. Nagaland's roads require familiarity with steep grades, narrow passages, and weather-related hazards. Local drivers possess skills developed through years of navigating challenging terrain, plus knowledge about current road conditions that could prevent serious problems for visitors unfamiliar with mountain driving. Air transport is limited to Dimapur Airport, which receives flights from major Indian cities but operates with weather-dependent schedules during monsoon season. The airport is small, efficient, and refreshingly uncomplicated compared to major urban airports. Ground transportation from the airport to other destinations relies on the same taxi system used elsewhere in the state. Railway connectivity extends only to Dimapur, which serves as the entry point for visitors traveling overland from other parts of India. The railway station connects to major Indian cities, but train schedules to remote northeast destinations can be irregular and subject to weather-related delays during monsoon season. Motorcycle rental appeals to adventurous travelers with appropriate experience but requires careful consideration of terrain challenges and weather conditions. Local rental agencies provide bikes suitable for mountain roads, but riders need protective gear and emergency planning for remote area travel. The reward is access to villages and scenic areas that larger vehicles cannot reach. Walking remains a primary transportation method within communities and between nearby villages. Traditional footpaths connect settlements through terrain where vehicle access is impossible or impractical. These walking routes offer spectacular scenery and opportunities for spontaneous cultural interactions, but require appropriate preparation for mountain hiking conditions. Weather significantly impacts transportation throughout Nagaland. Monsoon season, June-September, creates challenges for all vehicle travel as roads become slippery and occasionally impassable. Local drivers adjust expectations accordingly, building extra time into travel schedules and maintaining flexible itineraries that account for weather delays. Transportation costs reflect local economic conditions rather than tourist pricing. Shared taxi fares are negotiated communally rather than individually, creating fair pricing for both locals and visitors. Private taxi arrangements should be negotiated clearly in advance, but rates remain reasonable by international standards while providing drivers with sustainable incomes. The cultural aspects of transportation provide unexpected insights into Naga society. Shared journeys create opportunities for cross-cultural exchange, where visitors learn about local customs, current events, and community concerns, while locals satisfy curiosity about foreign cultures and travel experiences. These informal conversations often provide more authentic cultural education than formal tourist programs. Now let's explore the attractions and natural beauty that make transportation adventures worthwhile. Nagaland's landscape offers diversity that compresses multiple ecosystems into a relatively small geographical area, creating opportunities for varied experiences within limited travel distances. Zuku Valley, often called the Valley of Flowers of the Northeast, provides trekking experiences that rival destinations receiving international recognition. Located on the border between Nagaland and Manipur, the valley blooms with seasonal flowers that create natural carpets stretching to distant mountain horizons. The trek requires moderate fitness levels and local guide assistance, but rewards visitors with landscapes that justify every challenging step. The valley's ecosystem supports plant and bird species found nowhere else in the region. Seasonal lilies bloom in waves of color that change throughout the year, creating photography opportunities that capture natural beauty without human modification. Camping in Zuku Valley under star-filled skies provides perspectives on natural environments that urban dwellers rarely experience. Kohima War Cemetery deserves recognition beyond its historical significance as a memorial to World War II casualties. The cemetery's terraced grounds overlook the city with views that encompass both natural beauty and urban development. The famous inscription, "When you go home, tell them of us," and say, "For your tomorrow, we gave our today," carries emotional impact that transcends nationality or political affiliation. The cemetery's peaceful atmosphere provides space for reflection on historical events that shaped contemporary Nagaland. The Battle of Kohima represents a turning point in World War II's Pacific theater, but it also marked the beginning of Nagaland's integration into modern Indian political structures. Understanding this history helps visitors appreciate current cultural dynamics between traditional tribal governance and modern state administration. Traditional villages throughout Nagaland offer authentic cultural experiences that contrast sharply with commercialized tourist destinations elsewhere. Konoma Village, about 20 kilometers from Kohima, showcases traditional Angami architecture, agricultural practices, and community organization. The village has implemented conservation measures that protect local ecosystems while maintaining traditional lifestyles. Konoma's residents practice sustainable agriculture that modern environmental movements study as models for ecological farming. Their traditional hunting grounds have been converted to wildlife sanctuaries through community decisions that balance conservation with cultural practices. Visitors can observe farming techniques, traditional crafts, and community decision-making processes that demonstrate successful integration of environmental protection with cultural preservation. Longhua Village on the Myanmar border in Mon District provides insights into Konyak tribal culture where traditional and modern elements coexist in fascinating ways. The village actually straddles the international border, with some houses having rooms in both India and Myanmar, creating unique situations where families might eat breakfast in one country and lunch in another. The village headman's house serves as an informal cultural center where visitors can see traditional Konyak architecture, agricultural tools, and ceremonial objects. Elderly residents still wear traditional tattoos that indicate their social status and personal achievements from pre-Christian tribal society. These living connections to headhunting culture provide historical perspectives that books and museums cannot convey. Natural attractions extend beyond famous destinations to include numerous waterfalls, caves, and forest areas that receive minimal tourism pressure. These locations offer opportunities for hiking, photography, and nature observation without crowds or commercial development. Local guides can arrange visits to waterfalls that require short hikes through traditional villages, creating combinations of natural beauty and cultural interaction. Mokokchung, the cultural center of Ao tribal territory, provides urban experiences that blend traditional and modern elements differently than Kohima or Dimapur. The town maintains stronger connections to traditional Ao culture while incorporating contemporary amenities and educational institutions. Visitors can attend cultural programs, visit traditional markets, and observe daily life that reflects a successful adaptation of tribal values to modern requirements. Wildlife sanctuaries in Nagaland protect species diversity that reflects the state's position at the intersection of different biogeographical zones. Birdwatching opportunities include species found nowhere else in India, plus seasonal migrations that attract ornithologists from around the world. These natural areas also preserve plant species with traditional medicinal and cultural uses that tribal communities continue to maintain. Adventure tourism potential in Nagaland remains largely undeveloped, creating opportunities for visitors seeking authentic experiences rather than commercialized outdoor activities. Rock climbing, cave exploration, river rafting, seasonal, and extended trekking routes exist, but require local guide assistance and appropriate preparation. These activities provide access to remote areas where traditional lifestyles continue with minimal outside influence. Cultural tourism extends beyond festivals to include opportunities for participating in traditional activities like weaving, farming, cooking, and craft production. Many families welcome visitors who show genuine interest in learning traditional skills rather than simply observing cultural performances. These hands-on experiences create deeper understanding of tribal cultures while providing economic benefits to local communities. Photography tourism in Nagaland offers subjects that range from traditional portraits of tattooed elders to landscape photography showcasing untouched natural beauty. Cultural sensitivity is essential when photographing people, but most residents appreciate respectful documentation of their traditions and daily lives. The state's diverse landscapes provide opportunities for nature photography, architectural documentation, and cultural portraiture within relatively small geographical areas. Safety considerations in Nagaland reflect the reality of traveling in remote mountain regions rather than specific security threats. The state is generally peaceful, with crime rates lower than most Indian tourist destinations. Political tensions occasionally affect border areas, but these situations rarely impact tourist activities and are well managed by local authorities. Healthcare infrastructure varies significantly between urban centers and rural areas. Kohima and Dimapur have hospitals equipped to handle serious medical emergencies, while smaller towns have basic healthcare facilities suitable for minor injuries and common illnesses. Remote villages might require evacuation to larger towns for serious medical situations, making travel insurance and emergency planning essential for adventurous travelers. Medical facilities in urban areas meet basic standards for international travelers, but specialized treatments might require evacuation to major Indian cities. Common travel-related health issues like altitude sickness, stomach problems, and minor injuries can be treated locally. Prescription medications should be brought in sufficient quantities, as specific brands might not be available in remote areas. Preventive health measures for Nagaland travel include standard precautions for tropical travel, plus considerations for mountain environments. Malaria risk exists in some areas, requiring appropriate prophylaxis and mosquito protection measures. Water purification is recommended outside urban areas, though bottled water is widely available throughout the state. Emergency services in Nagaland operate through local police and medical facilities, but response times in remote areas can be extended due to transportation challenges and communication limitations. Mobile phone coverage is generally good in populated areas but can be spotty in remote locations. Satellite communication devices might be advisable for extended treks or visits to very remote villages. Education levels in Nagaland exceed national averages due to missionary influence and cultural emphasis on learning. This educational foundation means that English communication is generally possible throughout the state, reducing language barriers for international visitors. Local residents often serve as informal cultural interpreters and guides due to their educational backgrounds and cultural knowledge. The state's educational achievements include high literacy rates among both men and women, reflecting cultural values that prioritize learning and knowledge acquisition. This educational emphasis contributes to successful integration of traditional and modern elements in Naga society, creating communities that maintain cultural identity while adapting to contemporary requirements. Healthcare education in Nagaland includes traditional medicinal knowledge that complements modern medical practices. Traditional healers maintain expertise in herbal treatments and diagnostic techniques that visitors might find interesting from cultural perspectives, though serious medical issues should always be addressed through modern medical facilities. Finally, let's address the practical requirements for visiting this remarkable state. The Inner Line Permit System exists to protect tribal cultures from exploitation and environmental degradation, but it also creates bureaucratic requirements that visitors must navigate before arrival. Indian citizens need ILP permits that can be obtained online through the official Nagaland government website. The process requires basic identification documents, travel itinerary information, and modest fees. Processing time is usually 2 to 3 days, though applying well in advance is advisable during festival seasons when applications increase. Foreign nationals require Protected Area Permits, PAP, in addition to standard Indian visas. These permits are obtained through Indian diplomatic missions abroad or through registered tour operators in India. The process requires passport information, detailed travel itineraries, and sponsor documentation from Indian tour operators or local contacts. Permit requirements reflect genuine efforts to balance tourism benefits with cultural protection. The system allows authorities to monitor visitor numbers, ensure appropriate cultural sensitivity, and provide assistance when needed. While bureaucratic, the permit process is generally straightforward for properly prepared travelers. Cultural etiquette in Nagaland requires respect for tribal customs, Christian values, and community sensitivities. Appropriate dress codes vary by location and occasion, but conservative clothing is generally recommended, especially when visiting villages or attending religious services. Photography permissions should be requested before taking pictures of people, traditional ceremonies, or sacred sites. Alcohol policies in Nagaland create interesting situations where traditional rice beer is consumed during cultural celebrations, but commercial alcohol sale is prohibited in most areas. Visitors should respect local alcohol regulations while understanding that traditional fermented beverages might be offered during festival celebrations and cultural events. Religious sensitivities require respect for Christian practices that dominate community life throughout Nagaland. Sunday services are important community events, and visitors are welcome to attend with appropriate respect for religious practices. Traditional tribal ceremonies might also involve spiritual elements that require respectful observation rather than casual tourism behavior. Environmental protection measures in Nagaland reflect growing awareness of ecological preservation combined with traditional conservation practices. Visitors should follow leave no trace principles, respect wildlife protection areas, and support local conservation efforts through appropriate behavior and economic choices. Community interaction guidelines emphasize reciprocal respect between visitors and local residents. Small gifts, appropriate greetings, and genuine interest in local culture are appreciated. Commercial transactions should be conducted fairly, with understanding that local pricing reflects economic conditions rather than tourist exploitation opportunities. Language considerations in Nagaland include multiple tribal dialects plus English and Hindi as common communication languages. Basic English phrases will handle most tourist situations, but learning simple greetings in local languages demonstrates cultural respect and often opens doors to deeper cultural interactions. Nagaland represents something increasingly rare in our connected world. A place where authentic cultural experiences remain accessible without commercial mediation, where natural beauty exists without Instagram-driven crowds, where traditional knowledge continues to guide daily life while embracing beneficial modern innovations. This is not a destination you visit to check boxes on a travel bucket list. It's a place that changes your understanding of what community, hospitality, and cultural preservation actually mean. The former headhunters who now brew exceptional coffee, the traditional weavers who use smartphones to market their products globally, the village councils that make decisions through consensus while managing modern governance requirements. These are not contradictions or curiosities. They're examples of successful cultural evolution that maintains essential values while adapting to changing circumstances. Your $500 in Nagaland doesn't just buy accommodation, meals, and transportation. It purchases access to ways of thinking, living, and relating to both nature and community that offer alternatives to urban individualism and commercial tourism. You're not just visiting another destination. You're experiencing proof that different approaches to modernity are possible, that traditional knowledge remains relevant, and that authentic hospitality still exists in places where community identity matters more than individual advancement. The memories you'll carry from Nagaland aren't just travel stories. They're evidence that the world still contains communities where strangers become family members, where cultural diversity strengthens rather than divides, and where the phrase sustainable tourism isn't marketing speak but daily reality. In a world increasingly dominated by artificial experiences and commercial relationships, Nagaland offers something precious: the chance to participate in authentic community life with people who've figured out how to maintain their identity while welcoming the world to share their stories. So pack light, bring an open mind, prepare your taste buds for adventures that will make you question everything you thought you knew about spicy food, and get ready to experience India's most surprising state. Nagaland isn't just waiting to be visited. It's ready to change your understanding of what travel can accomplish when cultural preservation, community values, and genuine hospitality create experiences that no amount of money can purchase elsewhere. Comment 31. If you're ready to experience headhunter hospitality that will make you never want to leave the mountains of Northeast India.